are you tagging me? Give folks a minute. Hop on. Put this on my page and your page.
Yeah, my phone's dead.
Okay.
Oh no.
No? You got some juice?
That little bit juice. Yeah. Well, I went to my page.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's not a bad idea to like the way we're waiting, because I seen King do it. Hitler used to do it, like when before they made
What?
before they made their talk. They would just stand there.
Just stand there
I
and
seen
wait.
King do it. One of his speeches, he just stood there, and that builds the momentum.
Okay.
Start a watch party too.
Okay. Oh, our mic's hot. Oops.
Oh, come on, really?
That's okay. At least I didn't say anything dirty to you.
I kind of figured that too. I was like looking like, dang, I wonder if that daggone mic is hot.
Well,
All right, let's do it. This is one of the Luqman Nation bloopers.
what's going on, family? This is Jackie Luqman.
Along with Abdul Shaheed Luqman.
And welcome to a special edition of Live and Coffee Current Events and Politics in Luqman Nation, the most dangerous show on social media or anywhere.
Yes, and just get this out of the way. Thank you, our Patreons, for this new monitor that I'm looking at right now, teleprompter. This is what Jacqueline uses when she does, when she works for the Real News. And so this is new to me, but your Patreon dollars at work.
Yep. Thank you very much. We very, very much appreciate all of the support you have given us. Listen, if you do like what you see and hear in Luqman Nation, even when we have our hot mic, even when we have the hot mic, that was pretty funny. Please consider becoming a patron. The patron provides monthly support in the way of monetary contributions to Luqman Nation, and we're only asking for $3, $5, or $7, or 20 or more if you can swing it to become a patron. We will provide more exclusive content on a regular basis for our regular patrons because you deserve that. But if you cannot do a regular contribution to Luqman Nation, we understand. We appreciate it. We appreciate one-time donations whenever you can. You can hit us up. that way on PayPal. You can find us on both platforms under Luqman Nation, LuqMannation. Mr. Abdus.
As they say, the revolution might not be televised, but the revolution has to be funded. And so, anyway, we'd like to welcome. Hey, Aaron Holloway, how you doing? And Dale, thank you for the heads up. And thank you for telling us that it's been G-rated all the time. We appreciate that. Not that we can't get R-rated, but I'm glad it wasn't in this case. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Please share this. There's a watch party going on right now. And so please share this video. Invite your friends, even your enemies. Invite Republicans and everybody else. Because this is where truth-telling, we're all about truth-telling. And so let's begin.
Yeah, so about friends and enemies.
Friends and enemies.
Inviting friends and enemies somewhere. So today is the federally recognized holiday for recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. His birthday, his actual birthday was last week. But around the country, people were commemorating MLK in their weak milquetoast, quite honestly, white moderate, real safe, non-radical way, because the only king America likes to remember is the king who had a dream. They never want to remember the king who gave the speech at Riverside Baptist Church criticizing the triple evils in American society at that time and that we still experience today: racism, militarism, and poverty.
Yeah, I always like to say that, a lot of the so-called white moderates, and not always white moderates, a lot of our we have overcome Negroes too. They love the defanged king.
Yeah.
That king that dream. And I'm not making any mockery of the dream speech. What I'm saying is that is that the whole that I have a dream speech. A lot of people like to tout that as one of his finest speeches, and it is one of the finest speeches. But the subject matter, I think that there were other subjects, that Dr. King have elaborated on, which is really relevant to us today. The I Have a Dream speech is what it is, a dream. We are more segregated than ever. Our schools are more segregated than ever. We have not come to the realization of that dream. So, but there's other things that we feel that is more let's say, important, because you can't force the brotherhood of anybody. But what we can do is understand the political nature of Dr. King and what he was fighting for, that really would have benefited all of us.
Absolutely. And incidentally, that I Have a Dream speech, everybody calls it the I Have a Dream speech. You know how much other stuff he said in that speech that had nothing to do with judging people by the content of their character, and one day him dreaming that his little children of all races could. He said a whole lot of other stuff in that speech, criticizing the way the United States did not, or America, because we ain't never been a United States, criticizing the way America has treated Black people and poor people in this country. So yeah, absolutely listen to and share his speech delivered at the Washington Monument, but absolutely listen to the speech that he delivered at Riverside Baptist Church.
Yes.
His Beyond Vietnam speech. That's the title.
And just as a side note, it was actually his last speech before his assassination.
A year before he was assassinated. So, yeah. But it was interesting, though. Today, while the rest of us were commemorating King in our various ways, as insufficient as some of them were, we participated in our neighborhood annual Martin Luther King Jr. Commemorative peace walk and parade. This is something that my community here in Southeast DC has been doing for, ever since I was in high school. And I graduated in 1985, and I marched in Air Force Junior ROTC in at least 2 of those parades. So that's how long we've been doing this parade in this neighborhood. and lots of black communities across the country have been doing the same.
Right.
Nobody pays any attention to what poor black folks do in our neighborhoods unless
bodies are being chalked.
Yeah, that's pretty much. So, but something else happened today that was really kind of messed up, and I know that some people are very supportive of the effort, but we want to talk about the problems with what was done in Virginia today.
Yes.
With this Second Amendment rally that was held
In Richmond.
in
Right.
Richmond. Listen, the organization that organized this event called it their lobby day. All right? They knew that the date was going to be January 20th because they chose this date, January 20th, for their lobby day. But, hon, what's a lobby day?
Well, actually, the lobby day, they actually attached themselves to it. There is an official lobby day, which is today, which was today. But they attached their rally to that, I guess, in order to give it some recognition or some prominence, But if you don't know what lobby day is actually it's a name that is used by non-governmental organizations or NGOs. It's a day where they can talk to legislators, and so they meet politicians and public servants at various levels to advocate and explain support for legislation, specifically for NGOs. So the white nationalists and those others, because I'm not going to say all of them were white nationalists, but white nationalists and others, because two white nationalists were arrested, who were going to attend this rally or did attend this rally, and so there was a big build up with the governor calling for a state of emergency because they didn't want another Charlotte on their hands.
Right.
So what happened is Charlottesville. Thank you. And so what happened is, law enforcement and others were basically like keeping a watchful eye to make sure that those events didn't, happen again. But the lobby day is before the white nationalists and others who were promoting this Second Amendment rally. That lobby day existed before that. So so we just we're trying to what we're saying is that this is not something they came up with, but at the same time, we really wanted to. What we was really trying to do was like, why is it that they chose this particular day when we know that the legislature wasn't, government buildings and stuff weren't open?
Exactly. Now, lobby day can be any day. It's any day that organizations designate to, lobby legislators. So no organization would choose a federal holiday on which the buildings where the people they want to lobby are not going to be at work.
Except white nationalists.
Who decide to call their little Second Amendment event Lobby Day as if we couldn't figure out that was all a sham. The Virginia Citizens Defense League organized this event, and they officially called it their Lobby Day. But again, today is a holiday. Today is it's not a state holiday. It's not a holiday for some places. It's a federal holiday. So I almost forgot that today is Monday. So all federal buildings are closed. So there are no legislators in the state building in Richmond for these people to lobby. So the very fact that they call their rally, their Second Amendment rally, something that it actually was not, raised a red flag in the second place. Well, in the first place, the fact that I think it was up to 3 or 4 white nationalists by the time Sunday rolled around or Saturday rolled around who were arrested for plotting attacks at this rally. That was the first red flag.
Right.
That was like, come on now, y'all didn't know? Why is it that if you know, here's the thing that kills me. white people are always telling black folks that we are the ones who need to weed out crime in our neighborhoods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then why couldn't all these white people weed out these white nationalists who were planning all this stuff at their little rally? How come they didn't know? Of course they knew. They knew. So I'm so done with these people trying to make it seem like they're so concerned about the Second Amendment. Because you know what? They're really not.
Right, but there are other amendments. Why is it? I mean, this whole Second Amendment thing. It's like, I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would think that the framers of this just wrote a Second Amendment. There's one that comes before that, which is the First Amendment, which that right, which is the right of freedom of speech, is being curtailed more and more each time. So and no one's up in arms about that.
But okay, so let's stick to if they're really, really concerned about the Second Amendment. All right, okay. More than few thousand people showed up, mostly white. We have friends in Richmond who they were out there actually counting the number of black people that they saw. You know it's bad when you have a couple thousand people show up at a rally and you can literally count the number of black people that you see. Listen,
because if I can interject, we have more important issues than wondering if we can walk around, that we can go to country buffet armed.
I mean, look, the Luqmans are, you know this about us, and if you don't know this about us, now you are going to find out. The Luqmans are all for people having the right to bear arms. We also are very much for some serious controls on who can and cannot bear arms and where you can. There is no reason to take a hunting rifle into country buffet. AR-15. We're not saying that you shouldn't have an AR-15. You want an AR-15? Fine. Have an AR-15. But you really don't need to take your AR-15 to CVS. You really don't.
Who's going to jump on you? And I mean, CVS, you got old people fulfilling prescriptions and housewives, and who is going to jump on you in CVS where you have to take out your AR-15 and cap somebody?
I mean, you know how those old people get when they don't have their arthritis medicine.
Oh my God!
You know how
it's
they
ridiculous.
are. Oh my God! But see, these are the same people, though. In all seriousness, these are the same people who, when they heard about Philando Castile, where were all these people protesting against the murder of Philando Castile, who was a licensed and registered gun owner?
But that's where we get to the problem with the Second Amendment and black people. Dr. King, since it is his recognized day today, Dr. King once gave a speech talking about the two Americas.
Oh,
right. So we know that tied to this Second Amendment, there is probably no more of an example, a blaring example, of our second-class citizenship in this country. And yes, we are second-class citizens in this country. There is no more of a example of that than the Second Amendment. We know that the Second Amendment, from its
inception,
creation, right,
yeah,
where there were different interpretations for it, but the right for a state to maintain and arm a militia, that was just part of it. The other part of it was by James Madison of Virginia. He's also said that he wanted his state. Part of the Second Amendment was for his state to be able to defend itself against slave rebellions. So and even if you don't want to look that far back, let's look at the Black Panthers who tried to exercise their right under the Second Amendment, only to have government just say, you know what, you can't bear arms publicly anymore.
Right.
So it was always used. It was always seen by I would say by the majority of white Americans that the Second Amendment right was exclusively for them, because even the legislatures, which are mostly white, when it comes to our rights to bear arms, even in D.C., where we're at right now, it was like a blanket ban on homeowners and people who are in any other state would be legally able to bear arms. But we're in D.C., where it's still a large black population. No, that was denied. Like we don't. Those rights are not really seen as our rights. And then we have examples of black people in other states who did try to exercise their right. Old man being tackled in Walmart
Right.
because some white Joe citizen felt like he was there to cause trouble.
Right.
Didn't start to think about, well, maybe he's a licensed gun owner like I am.
Well, the thing in Walmart was he wasn't even he didn't even have a real gun. It was a toy gun.
Right. Because that's all they allow us to have.
Because he's in Walmart in the toy section with a toy gun in an open carry state.
Well, that's another guy. That's the guy up in Ohio. I'm talking about the old man in Florida.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
In Florida, where some Joe citizen turned around and felt like it was his duty to tackle another citizen who also should have the same rights as him. The other brother up in I can't remember his name. I think it was John something. But up in Ohio.
Yeah, John Crawford.
Right, John Crawford. Where you're right, Jackie, in Ohio, an open carry state. Someone saw him playing with a toy gun and decided to call the police. And the police came, and as we know, the end of the story is that the police took his life.
Murdered him.
Yes.
Yeah, so this whole thing about all these people out there, we're for the Second Amendment and we're not racist, but then they'll be quick to tell you they're Trump supporters. And somehow that's supposed to make black people and Native people and Latino people who are also supportive of the right to bear arms, that's supposed to make us comfortable? That we're supposed to... So it's like it blows my mind how none of these people show up talking about let's bear arms and protect our black brothers and sisters from abuse by the police. Because these are people who are always talking about they are preserving their right to bear arms in case the government becomes tyrannical so they can defend themselves against the government.
But they have, especially in Texas, they have exercised their rights to intimidate American Muslim citizens who were just going about their daily their daily life. Right.
So these are people who talk about they want to exercise their right to bear arms to defend themselves against a tyrannical government. But as long as that government is tyrannizing black people, Native people, poor people, even poor white people, these people are nowhere to be found with all of their massive firepower to protect anybody else from a tyrannical government. But let somebody say they want to implement some stricter gun control laws to keep people who should not have weapons, people who have a documented history of violence against other people, from being able to just go and buy a weapon at a legitimate place. Because let's be real, criminals don't actually buy guns from a gun shop where they have to fill out paperwork, and that's not how criminal gun sales work.
They never have.
But these people who want to have their arms to protect against a tyrannical government never want to protect other people from that tyrannical government. They never do. So this whole, 2A rally on MLK Day, yeah, I'm not feeling that right now at all.
And let me conclude with this: is that they don't like the government coming to take their guns, but government can take your job and send it overseas.
Oh,
they don't like the government coming to take their guns, but government can impose stricter and stricter surveillance on us. They can, they don't like the government come take their guns, but have no problem with the Patriot Act. They have no problem with the government. They have problems with the government taking their guns, but yet you can't, but they don't have a problem with government restricting access to health care, access to slowly cutting the safety net. Because let's be real, a lot of these supporters are poor whites.
Yeah.
Who depend even more on a safety net than a lot of us, because just based on their numbers. So but that's okay. So really, what is the true intention of not taking their guns? Because the last time I checked, this is not like The Watchmen where you're under President Robert Redford, and because that was the part of the storyline. But no one in this government would dare actually take the guns away from law-abiding citizens. They know that that's a political death nail in their career. No one's going to. Barack Obama, who everybody said was going to do that, you still got your guns, and Barack Obama served 2 terms. So
Yep.
so what is this hysteria? I would say this: it's not just in America, because we were watching Al Jazeera and Greece. You had Greece, like a lot of other European countries in the EU, are being I won't say overran, but are having their are dealing with a refugee crisis.
Right. They don't like the immigrants that are coming to their country because of the refugee situation.
Right. And so citizens in Greece, a couple of citizens that were interviewed said, "Oh, we might have to take up weapons because of a few incidences." A few incidences that they of bad behavior on some of the refugees. Now, mind you, not taking into account that these people are displaced from their homes, coming from war-torn countries. I think trauma might be a big part of it, not criminality.
Maybe.
But in Greece, they're restricting access to health care for a lot of these refugees, and so that's some people believe that it's contributing to the suicide rate that's happening in Greece right now. But there is this right-wing white nationalist element that we've seen over the last couple of years that have been taking hold over in Europe, and that's taking hold over here. And it always happens when Europeans and European Americans find themselves, or convince themselves, I should say, that there's some kind of threat that that the so-called hordes are coming to not only take stuff away from them, but to breed them out.
And that's really, look, again, the Luqmans are all for citizens to own guns. Everybody who should be able to responsibly own a gun should own a gun. And responsibly own a gun means you need to take yourself to, in that period of time between where you go to a gun shop and fill out your paperwork for the background check. Yes, everybody should get a background check before they can own a gun. Yeah, you should go to a range and learn how to shoot. You should not be able, this is my personal thing. I'm not going to speak for my husband. My personal thing is nobody should own a gun who has not proven that they have taken some type of safety courses.
That's like driving a car.
I can't, you can't get a car unless you prove that you actually can operate. Well, you can't get a license, unless you prove that you can actually safely operate a car. You can get a car, but once you get pulled over, you ain't got no license. You gonna get a ticket, and the car is gonna get impounded. I don't understand why that's a difficult thing for owning a firearm. It's really not.
But I want to give advice to my right-wing friends and the white nationalists and others who feel like the government is going to take over your gun, take their guns away from them. You want your guns taken away? Or if you're afraid, here's one way for the government to really take away your guns.
What's that?
All you guys and women who are from the lobby day and others, go down to any government building and start talking about you want access to free health care, that you want your jobs back from China and India, that you want a higher wage. Take your guns down there and demand that they pass a bill right now so that we can make $15 or $20 an hour, that we can have affordable housing. Everything that you feel would make America great again, go down there with your guns and force them to do it. I guarantee they will come get your guns then.
And they still ain't. That's a great point. And the last point on this, I mean, these folks, they're so afraid of having their guns taken away. And I'm not going to tell people that they shouldn't be concerned that the government. Yeah, there are some of the legislation that some legislators are trying to pass are a little misguided, because I don't understand what an assault rifle really is or is not. And I know that there is a need, as somebody who comes from a hunting family, you can't stop a bear with a Glock. It can't happen. So yeah, I understand you need something bigger and more powerful for bigger and more powerful animals. People who don't hunt don't understand that. At the same time, every one of those people who went to the State House today in Virginia, they went home with their guns. There's not going to be any federal force or anybody at their homes taking their guns when they get home. But I tell you what folks are afraid of, that's actually happened quite a lot. We're afraid of this government taking our lives. Well, we've seen that over and over again.
That's true. They're foot soldiers, the police, have been known since our sojourn here, since they were the slave patrol. Their body count, their black body count, is through the roof. So I mean, so you're right, and they are sanctioned by the government. They're government foot soldiers, domestic foot soldiers. So yes, that is our big fear and our greatest fear. But we didn't see you marching with us.
Nope. So, okay, you had your 2A lobby day on MLK Day. Real good optics with that one, y'all. All right, moving on. What was your big takeaway from the parade today? Did you enjoy the parade?
I always enjoy the parade. I love to see black people just living, enjoying life. You know, I mean, you know, and you know, people, you know, that, you know, to other communities, for me to say such a thing might seem strange. But you know, what do you mean just enjoying life? Well, you know, I mean, come on. If you've been around for the last couple of years, or even longer than that, you understand that, you know, there is, you know, grilling while black, police come. There is, you know, sitting in your dorm room that you paid for while black. There is driving while black. There is legalized gun ownership while black. I mean, so if you understand what all of that is, you understand why I said what I just said. But, you know, to see the children out there and to see us, like I said, just enjoying life, and actually define, and you know, and this is what's tiresome in this country, the fact that and I wish that we can get to the state, and when I say we, I ain't talking about, you know, I'm talking about black people, that we can get to the state where we just get tired of just proving to other folks our humanity. You know, get tired of proving to other folks that, you know, we're not some experiment that came out of a laboratory. And you know, we're not, you know, and you have to train us how to act. You know, I mean, we are a community, an often targeted community, an often traumatized community, but we are a community, and through all of the obstacles that have been thrown our way and continue to be thrown our way, we try to do the best that we can to be that community. No other community, we said this before, Jackie, on the show. There is no other community that have been assaulted and traumatized like the black communities. Sorry, everybody else. We understand that everyone had, you know, there's bad history in every group, but the constant trauma, we have not had a break in this country from the constant assault of trauma, whether it's from government, federal or state, whether it's from, you know, white citizen councils and all of this stuff, and whether it's by unknown forces. And we'll talk about that on one show, about how the record industry targeted us targeted us in order to have us be fodder for the private prison system. We'll talk about that on another show. But we have let's not talk about the CIA with the crack epidemic, and you know, so we have always been under constant assault as a community, and because we're not because we have the least power politically and economically, we should have been going a long time ago. But the fact that we're still here and we're able to still try to keep some community going. So when I say that I enjoy the parade of black people just enjoying life, I really mean that. Yeah. Now, again, and you know, these are some of the takeaways. Outside of that, I didn't like the politicization. Is that it?
Politicization.
Yeah, the politicization of the parade. Yeah, I didn't like all of these politicians who don't do anything for us, coming shaking our hands and you know, Happy King Day. Yeah, Happy King Day while you go to City Hall and work against our interests. Right. And while you promote other interests that's detrimental to us. Oh, Happy King Day. But yet we're too stupid to understand Proposition 77, which would have given tip workers a higher wage, a set wage of $15 an hour and more in the coming years. They overturned that. Right. So, you know, so this thing of democracy and vote, they turned it over because we're too stupid to understand. And this was actually what one council member, Phil Mendelson, said. He didn't call us stupid, but he said, they didn't understand. They didn't understand. Right, which was a way of calling us stupid. That's exactly that. I mean, they think that we are too stupid to understand that they don't care about us. Right. So once a year, these people, who most of them in the city council, don't ever come to Southeast DC. Never. They never come to Southeast. Then they come
in the parade and they get out of the little car and they come and shake folks' hands and give folks little beads for the color of their campaign.
And walking fast too.
Cause they know doggone well when they start looking at our faces and they see how we know what they are, then they're like, oh, we gotta get out of here quick.
And the Mayor Bowser, she can pass out green hats and green beads, but we can't get affordable housing. We can't get, she can pass out green beads, but yet the city is becoming more and more expensive for homegrown citizens. I'm a transplant, but homegrown citizens who have been here are being moved out of. And look, we understand that change happens. We understand that change happens, but unfair change.
Right.
The change that doesn't have any justice to it.
Exactly.
That's what we oppose.
Predatory change.
Predatory change. Exactly.
I mean, really, when
I don't have a problem with white folks moving in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And but when you have people moving in and you're pushing people out, and not only pushing people out, but actually silencing the cultural expression of those people and erasing it in order to and cultural expression has everything to do with any group.
Right.
And so to erase our cultural expression and as if this is something undesirable,
right?
That's what we have a problem with.
And then you listen to the people who are moving into the neighborhood, but you're like you said, silencing the expression and the dissent of the indigenous people who have been here. That is the kind of change we're not having. So some of these politicians, that's why Marion Bowser didn't get out of her secured car.
We couldn't even see her behind the tent.
I know, she was in that big tent.
My God.
What is that big? The Suburban? Yeah, she was in that.
And that's the thing. Here it is. Don't you know that it's climate change? I mean, what kind of example is that? She has a Suburban as big as a freaking tank.
She's driving that. Well, she wasn't driving, but she's riding in that big gas guzzling tank.
Oh my God. I mean, your leader, be an example. But but this is what it is.
Just at least fake it.
Right. It's like it's like here you is with this big gas guzzler coming through, throwing beads and hats at us. And I mean, it's like we're in the midst of a climate catastrophe, and there's no example of leadership up the top. But
oh, it's terrible. And it was funny because the lady that we were standing there talking next to, just a lady from the neighborhood, she and I were reminiscing, excuse me, about how Marion Barry would. I mean, the parade route when I was a kid was twice as long as it is now. And it was twice as cold then as it is now. But Marion Barry would walk that whole parade route.
And not because he was high.
That's true. Yep. Although sometimes he might have been.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Marion Barry,
Barry,
regardless of what Marion Barry was, he was never disconnected from the people he advocated for. And he listened to people. These folks, that's okay. So the politicization of the parade needed to go.
Right, and I didn't like the overrepresentation of the military. And I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, I'm a big believer. If you can get mad at me, but I'm a big believer that until we have full rights in this country, until this government uses its military responsibly, black people shouldn't join the military. That is just my opinion. I don't think that if you have kids, as a responsible person of color, and especially if you're African in America, I believe that you should discourage your kids from the military. I don't care about this protected country. Well, the country's not protecting us. So, all this stuff about I need to protect the country to do what? Fight rich people's wars? To do what? To impose on the rights or deny the rights of other sovereign people, mostly brown and black people around the world, and to use this overwhelming killing machine that we keep pumping billions and billions of dollars into just to drop $1 million bombs on people riding camels and people. What I mean is poor people. Right. So until this country can use its military in a responsible way, and until we obtain full rights in this country, not Andrew Yang's plan or not nobody else, until we can achieve full rights, and that also goes with economic rights. Yeah. When we can achieve those, then your kids should stay out the military.
That's what we believe. I mean, listen, because we go to our page a few days ago, did an interview about how the military is the new poverty draft, and people were commenting on the original video on the Real News. What do you mean new? It's always been that way. No, you need to understand the framing. There has not been a draft in this country for several decades.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, people did join the military a lot because they were poor and it presented opportunities. Now, the opportunities are so limited, especially for certain groups of people, poor black people, native people, poor Latinos, that, and yeah, poor whites, that the military is almost literally the only option our kids have. So in that sense, yes, it is a new kind of draft. It's a compulsory entry into the military just so kids can go to college, just so kids can get, can have housing or health care. It shouldn't be that way, and it doesn't have to be that way. So this is a conversation marginalized groups of people need to seriously have, and you're hearing this from two people who have military members in our family, who almost joined the military ourselves. And listen, we need to understand that the military industrial complex is funding the Girl and Boy Scouts. They are funding STEM programs in HBCUs. They're targeting our kids, trying to get them. I mean, you already see the commercials for warplanes and fighter jets and all this military equipment and the normalization of war at football and baseball games. They're just really getting more generations of kids used to always being at war. Why is that okay with us?
Right. And, and for those folks who said, mistakenly, that, oh, well, it's always been that way. Well, that's a sad commentary on us. And that's a sad commentary on that generation before us. If we can sit there and admit, oh, well, it's always been that way, well, then whose fault is that?
Exactly. So, yeah, we're never cool with, again, we joked about the Coast Guard contingent, and the Coast Guard contingent, there's a Coast Guard unit down in Anacostia Park, and it's probably the cushiest Coast Guard assignment that anybody could have, because ain't nobody trying to commit no crime on the Potomac or the Anacostia River. The most they're experiencing is, body every once in a while, mutated fish or something up, but so they're pretty harmless as far as military goes, but trust, they will kill a bunch of people if they have to too. But the Marine Corps, the 8th and I, the soldiers from 8th and I down at 8th and I in Southeast, the president's own Marine Corps unit, they don't come over here.
I think about because we are commemorating Dr. King's birthday. I think about the so-called riots of the 60s. When the military actually shot down black people in the streets. Right. When in Newark, New Jersey, when a woman's leg was blown off because they actually shot a tank shell in her apartment building. The military has a very murky legacy, not a clean legacy. I think about Vietnam when black men and particularly was drafted well beyond our numbers in order to die on foreign soil, bringing democracy, as Dr. King once said, bringing freedom and democracy over to someone else. And we can't get that over here. Right. So I'm proud of my father's military service. Hi, Dad, he's on right now. But I'm proud of my father's military service. But it was a different time. And when I said something, and what I mean is using the military responsibly. I'm not against us as citizens joining. I mean, this country wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the participation of black soldiers. But at the same time, this is not a military that's being used responsibly by the government, in which hands, in which they have to answer to. So we, as the conscience of America, we have to refuse our sons and daughters to be fodder for this capitalist machine that operates on conquest, empire, and injustice.
Absolutely, and can we just add that your dad's service and my grandfather's service, my great uncle's service, when our family members came back, the benefits they got were less than the benefits of their white service members, if they got any benefits at all.
I mean, facing the same bullets, facing the same
bullets,
enemy. Yeah.
Got to say the enemy did not shoot at our folks just because. I mean, so seriously, we have to really re-examine the paradigm we want to. We want a military to exist in, and where we want our people to fit in it, because I really can't get behind sending my kids. If I had kids, trust me, if I had kids, somebody would be in jail, because my kid would not be in the military. My kid, I'd be like, look, I'm sorry, you can I would rather you do some illegal stuff before you went into the military.
So we're talking about the next black and brown astronauts are going to be trained by the Space Force. You know, so this is the kind of stuff that we of good conscience can't tolerate this.
And especially considering the fact that Martin Luther King Jr.
Exactly. Yep.
spoke passionately and decisively and concretely and clearly against the evils of militarism. I don't understand now. I'm not an organizer for the parade, and I don't know what their rules are. But if you're going to have a Martin Luther King Day parade, why are you allowing military units to march in that parade? I'm just not feeling that. But that's just my criticism. So the other thing that we really had a problem with was the corporate presence.
Yes.
The marketing.
This marketing to us. Everybody knows, and let me just state this clearly. Everybody knows that if you want to get rich in America, you set yourself up in the black community. We are, and unfortunately, we spend more. We consume more than our numbers should allow. We have our community is basically up for grabs when it comes to economic exploitation. You know, so everyone knows that in order to get rich, immigrants know that. I mean, the first thing immigrants do when they come here to America, mostly if they're interested in setting up businesses, they know to come here. You know, and for very little money, you can set up a liquor store or whatever store you got. But it's the exploitation economically of our community, and so we saw a lot of that today too.
Right. Well, I wanted to challenge you a little bit on something you just said. The idea that black people spend more than other people. We actually don't.
Okay.
Studies have shown that black people actually spend less than other groups of people. What we do
because we ain't got no money.
Because number one, because we ain't got no money, and when you're poor, some things cost more money. So black people spend more money on things that white people are not charged as much for. So they kind of present that as, oh, look at how much money black people spend. Well, if you are unbanked, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of poor black people and a lot of poor black people in neighborhoods can't afford a bank account.
Yeah.
So they go to payday lenders. So they go to check cashing places. So they spend more money in that. Groceries in black neighborhoods cost more money.
Oh my God!
Yes. These cell phone places. I mean, we get charged more interest.
That's true.
For insurance and other things. So yes, we pay more money for some things, but we actually don't spend more money on leisure stuff.
So what you're saying is that if I'm understanding you, it's like take away the black tax.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
Take away the black tax. Black people actually spend less money on. So this whole myth, and we gotta listen to a new podcast that Dr. Jared Ball, our favorite, over at I Mix What I Like.
Oh, yeah.
He's revisited the black spending power myth. He's redone that. He's done another podcast on it. We gotta listen to that. We gotta have him on again because he's writing a book. And we cannot wait for his book to come out to talk about these issues.
But I'm so glad. Thank you for correcting me on that about the black spending power. It was like the $3 trillion we have and stuff. Black community ain't got no $3 trillion to spend. But I'm glad you're saying that, because when we segue into the next segment about this misunderstanding of our actions or the outright how can I put it? The outright lie. I should say, for lack of a better term, the outright lie of how we behave, and what we do. Because then there's Biden.
Oh, but real quick before we talk about Joe Biden, and then we're going to go have dinner because Mrs. Luqman has a delicious lamb roast in the crock pot. It's starting to smell really good.
Yeah, it is. Heather Morris said, I missed the old studio background. I'm sorry, Heather.
We're sorry.
We should have consulted you before we did this.
I forgot what the old studio background was.
It was the flag. Was it the red, black, and green flag?
Oh, when we were in the other room?
Yes.
That would had all the flowers and stuff.
I think.
That's okay. All right, so maybe I'll bring some down, and because we got to put some acoustic panels up back behind us. So I promise we'll bring some of those decorations to the studio, and we'll.
And we're gonna have a sign say for Heather. Right?
Yes, we will. Thank you, Heather, for letting us know that you prefer a different ambiance for us. We appreciate that. So there were a couple of companies that had a bunch of people, and I thought it was just hilarious. One of these companies was Salesforce. Now, Salesforce is like, at least it started out as like a marketing database. Excuse me. And where it have all the information of all these corporations that you want to sell your stuff to, and all their information and whatnot. And I'm sure they've metastasized into something else, because this was years ago that I knew about Salesforce. And government contractors was using their data to create their pipelines, their proposal pipelines, how they would go after business for certain companies. This company had a big old contingent of like 40 people in this Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade, MLK, who railed against capitalism. This company, Salesforce, has a bunch of people holding, these nice signs. Oh, unity, love, diversity, inclusive. Yay, MLK Day. These people ain't never been to Southeast. Most of them were white. Never been to Southeast. Know nothing about the people in this community.
But that's not new. There's an old video, and I would challenge some of you guys out there to go and look this video up. It's an old video, probably from the 60s, maybe the 50s or 60s, but it's called How to Sell to the Negro.
Oh, that's right. I remember we watched that.
Yeah, we watched it.
Yes.
So it's an old one, How to Sell to the Negro, And so, they know that they have always known in the black community that there is that there is an economic base here. And what capitalists do is that's what they do.
Yep.
They go to where they can make money. Salesforce?
Salesforce.
Yeah, Salesforce and others. This is nothing new. I mean, check out How to Sell to the Negro.
Yeah.
And, that with that 1950s boy, How to Sell to the Negro.
Sell to the Negro.
Right.
And their little music, music in the back. Yeah, just capitalist propaganda from the very beginning to take our money. That's all that was.
But they learned that from organized crime, because it was Dutch Schultz who said, y'all didn't want nigger pennies. I'll go down there and take it.
Yes, he did. He absolutely did.
So he said, I'll go down there and take it over. And if anybody has a problem with me saying the N-word, the word is nigger. Look, like I heard Killer Mike say one time on the show, the Klan ain't say, listen, you N-word. No, they said nigger,
Because that's what they called us,
right.
And that's what they still call us. So, look, let's be real about reality here. The parade was great.
It was great.
It was really wonderful seeing all the babies. It was really, really wonderful seeing all the babies out there doing the cheerleading and the drumming, the drum corps, all the little girls out there drumming.
Yeah.
Man, this society never needed to teach black people about diversity and inclusion, because we're an oppressed group of people who have always been cast aside. We have a hard time throwing folks out.
And I'm glad you said that, because there were quite a number of white people that were part of the parade with different organization stuff. I like the legacy that my people have. Unlike some of the images I've seen from past and present, where black people are really shown that we're not welcomed in certain neighborhoods. I seen an old video the old film clip of when George Wallace stood in the doorway of the University of Alabama, something like that. I can't remember. But one of the universities just to block two black young people to enter, and then and kids going to school needing federal escorts to go to school. And I always said to myself, wow. Are they foaming at the mouth? They all angry.
All for two little black kids.
Yeah.
To keep two little black kids from going to that school.
They're foaming at the mouth. They people just sitting and trying to get a burger. They're throwing milkshakes on their head and stuff.
Spitting on folks and.
Right, and I'm saying to myself when I look at the demeanor of the black people, I'm saying, well, who's more civilized? Surely not the ones who claim to be superior. So I kind of love that we don't have a legacy. In spite of what people say, we don't have a legacy of white people joining us in anything, and it's not because it's fear. People say, oh well, black people are fearful of the consequences of harming white people. It's not that. It's who we are. How do you think that a lot of businesses, non-black businesses, set themselves in the black community and not get burnt down? Now, here we were in the 1920s minding our own business and our own black businesses amongst ourselves, and white folks found a way to destroy that. So we don't, right? So we're not a people who have not been open, and that's even sometimes to our detriment, and but at the same time. We always joke about Becky jogging through our neighborhoods, and she ain't got to worry about being snatched over.
Not a thing. She ain't never got to worry about.
So what we're saying is that what I'm saying is that we have been more welcoming to other people, and not just white people, Hispanics and others.
Right.
We had an Asian guy who has a business on MLK who came to us and say, the parade is coming.
Yep.
The parade is coming. They're right there. And here's a man who unmolested. So this whole myth about the criminality of black people, the violence tendencies of black people, the fact that our neighborhoods aren't safe. Yes, our neighborhoods aren't safe sometimes for us.
Right.
But that's a psychological, social issue.
Right. And for real, we had two big contingents of two black Greek organizations, A Phi A, Alpha Phi Alpha, and Sigma Gamma Rho.
Yeah. I saw the deltas too.
Listen here. Oh, did you see the deltas? I didn't see them. Listen here. This is not a conversation about black Greek organizations. That's another conversation for another day because I don't want to talk about them right now. But I used to go to Alpha Phi Alpha conventions with my uncle because my uncle Alfred Jefferson up in Southfield, Michigan, is an Alpha alumni. So was Dr. King. So I used to go to these conventions with my uncle every year, and every single year there was always like at least 20 white guys who were A5s. These are fraternal organizations that were started on college campuses by black folks because the white Greek organizations would not let the black folks join their Greek organizations, so we had to start our own. But what do? We turn around and let white people in.
Yeah.
So, look, we have learned some really crappy habits and practices of exclusion from our oppressors that excluded us from mainstream society. But that is not generally in the way we operate as people.
No, it's not.
No.
Now we do have to learn how to love each other more.
Yeah, we do.
We do have to learn how to respect each other more. But again, that's social conditioning, I believe.
Exactly. And talk about, nobody should love or respect Joe Biden at all. Not anymore. Nobody should love or respect Joe Biden anymore. No more.
No. I think we should go to Uncle Joe and say, we're going to put you in a home. You're clearly not all the way there.
This dude, once again doubled down on this ridiculous, debunked trope, stereotype, blatant lie about bad black parenting. Just this whole word gap thing that
I don't know what that is.
So it was this study that was conducted several decades ago where some I'm not even gonna say they were well-meaning white people. They weren't. They were bullshitting, to tell you the truth. They were trying to find a way to excuse, to justify saying that black people don't talk to their children.
Yeah.
This is why black people are ignorant, so to speak.
Again, trying to prove our inferiority.
Exactly. So they claim
our supposed inferiority.
Right. So it was a study that was done with like 24 people, like 7 families or something like that. These people came away with this ridiculous assumption that black parents spoke like 30,000 fewer words to their children.
They actually counted that.
Somehow they came up with this foolishness. And people ran with that shit for the longest time until somebody said, that sounds kind of suspect.
Right.
I think we should do this study again. And then somebody did the study again and they realized, okay, not only is this first study some racist garbage, but it's not that black parents don't talk to their children. Black children are bathed in words from the day they're born until, just like, there is no word gap.
Right.
So, but this has been debunked. Biden said it last year. Folks went after him last year. Whoever is managing his campaign, I know who's managing his campaign. Simone Sanders is managing his campaign.
Yeah, you see, you haven't seen a lot of her, though.
How is it?
I mean, you know what? I mean, her mouth was all over CNN, and I mean, and her mouth was all over MSNBC and all that stuff when she was with Sanders. But I mean, even she is hiding because she can't even bring the Negro magic to help Joe Biden.
And I don't understand why it is. How do you keep saying this stuff when you got this black woman as your campaign manager or somewhere on your campaign who was your talking head before? Ain't nobody telling you stop saying this shit? I mean, seriously, I really refuse to believe that this is not something that Joe Biden does not know is racist garbage. And I know this, we know this, Abdus, because what did he say? What was the excuse that he used for why it was okay for him to say this?
Well, he said Barack Obama. I mean, that magical Pied Piper himself. So Barack Obama, he used to catch flack when he used to tell black people how bad they were. He used to catch flack. You didn't come after him when he told black men to pull up their pants. I mean, who would know black people better than Obama? But you didn't come after him.
When Barack Obama, who was black, he was black. He was a clean, articulate black man.
Right.
When Barack Obama told black parents that they should turn the television off and stop feeding their kids cold Popeye's chicken for breakfast.
Chicken. And right then and there, everybody knows that black people abhor cold Popeye's chicken. We abhor. I mean, come on. You didn't already discredit yourself by even saying that, because you ask any black person on the street and give them a choice between hot Popeye's chicken and cold Popeye's chicken. What are they going to take?
You can take that cold Popeye's chicken and give it to somebody who don't know. Give me that hot 3-piece. Bama? No.
I mean, what's the black woman who's the pitch person for Popeye's chicken?
Oh, what is her name?
I don't even think she got a name.
Yeah, she's just the black Popeye's chicken lady.
Well, she wouldn't. I couldn't think that nice woman would serve us cold chicken.
When that man, meaning Barack Obama, said that about black parents, man, I must have heard like an audible howl from half the neighborhood. People watching that clip like, nah, bro, you didn't say that.
Oh, my goodness.
But what do? We didn't hold his feet to the fire on that racist garbage.
Well, we should have did.
We should have done it. But you know why? Part of the reason is black people need to be real about this little class problem we have, because some of us actually think that about poor black people.
Yeah,
some of us who got a little 5 cents over.
A couple cents over breakfast money.
5 cents over breakfast money. We think we done made it, and we send our kids to the right schools, and we have our kids in the right activities, and our kids don't act like those kids who live 2 blocks away.
Not in front of them anyway.
Look, you have not made it if you live in 2 blocks away from all the poor people.
Well, see, and that is also the big myth in America, especially when it comes to, like you say, the class issue in America. Mm-hmm. Yo, Negro, you live right around the corner from me. Like right where we live at now. In Southeast, you got the projects, the so-called projects, and about 3 streets over, you got the, we have overcame Negroes.
Exactly.
And we go to the same stores.
We see the we have overcome Negroes. They standing in line at the Giant, looking down their nose at the poor black folks.
Right.
And we standing there trying to see who we can help pay their groceries because they short this month. Man, look, Joe Biden is hot trash. He's hot garbage. And for him to continue to perpetuate that racist narrative that it's black people's fault, that and particularly black parents, he actually said that his
dead
deceased wife, if that man uses
God.
any deceased family member as a campaign
you
ploy again,
right? And you want to say so bad, Joe, we know she's dead. I mean, may she rest in peace, Joe. But come on.
But please let her rest in peace.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, he used the fact that his deceased wife was a teacher. So this one woman knows the situation for all black people, and his excuse for saying this was that black parents are not as involved in black kids' lives because they're embarrassed because they can't read. He actually said that garbage. Not the fact that too many poor parents in general, but black parents in particular, are working 2-3 jobs. And they can't make it to PTA meetings that happen at 5 and 6 o'clock because they gotta work. They gotta go to work on their second job. Not that. It's because we're embarrassed because we can't read.
Exactly.
This is what this man who wants us to vote for him to be president of the United States says about black people who he's going to be making policy for.
Well, what he needs to tell the truth is that he didn't learn those things from his deceased wife. He learned that from the segregationists he's been working with across the aisle with.
Come on now.
So that's
for
where
his whole
doggone
career.
So that's where he learned it from. But again, we go back to Barack Obama, whether it's Barack Obama, Bill Cosby, and they give it's the Bill Cosbys and the Barack Obamas and others on this. So who opened the door for the Joe Bidens? Because I'm serious. They opened the door for the Joe Bidens because Joe Biden again. Barack Obama told y'all that y'all wasn't shit. So your parent, your parenting ain't shit. So why can't I say it? But at the same time, he's the same dude that talks about all this black support he got,
Right.
And but he's gonna lose that. He keep on talking this kind of crap.
Oh my God. Oh man, we got a lot of work to do, fam. We got a lot of work to do, family.
But can I say this?
Yes.
I think one of the things that bugged me with Obama and bugged me with Cosby, Cosby's an entertainer. But I want to deal with people who had the power to make policy. Cosby, he was just an entertainer trying to, he was a bourgeois black Negro who wanted to, keep his white audience happy by saying how it's like the black cop that rides around with the white cop and want to show the white cop, I could beat their heads in worse than you. So just because I'm black don't
mean I can't crack some heads.
My stick just as hard as your balls. But at the same time, and look, and because I'm black, I spot the things you don't see. Dude, you need me along.
That was an especially uppity one.
Right. But the thing of it is like Barack Obama, the Bidens, and all the others who are in the position to make policy, they don't come to us. And that's the problem that I had with Barack Obama when he ran for president, is that you went to Iowa and New Hampshire and where you had all these white, a majority white audience, and you respected them by telling them what you're going to do for them. You talked about policy to them. They should vote for you because I'm going to do these things or help you with these things, and this is what the agenda, and this is what I'm going to promote. But every time he had a majority black audience, it was always the beat up on us.
Pull your pants up.
Right. It was always the pushing the myths that has been debunked so many times. And that's why I said earlier in this program that we are tired. We are tired. We used to play that game with people. We used to play that game, teaching our kids how to speak so-called
Proper English.
We had our kids. We tell our kids, don't do this because white folks are looking. I mean, we actually was told that. I know Wanda Sykes, the comedian. She has a very great stand-up routine where she talks about that. And people outside our community don't understand this. But this is how much we were, or I should say, our parents were and our grandparents were. This is how much they tried to get us to, this is how much influence the wider society had when it came to our community. That we felt. I remember my mother saying to me, when you you have to be twice as good as a white person.
Oh my God!
I mean, we were told that, and then only to get to college and find out I was 3 times better than them. You know what I mean?
And I still am.
Right,
but they
right.
still.
But this is the pressure that's placed on our community. The fact that you had our oppressors. That we were trying to fit in with the standards of our oppressor.
Exactly.
I mean, why should they have the standards? Because to me, it find out that if you're my oppressor, then why am I trying to impress you?
I mean, especially if you're my oppressor and you are forcing me to literally work myself to death, because this whole you got to work twice as hard to be as good. And what the heck is that?
Well, that's actually, I felt like, and not not to blame my mother, she meant well, but that's like an insult on me. Like I gotta work twice as hard just to be average.
I mean, here I am working myself to death trying to impress somebody who is going to bypass me and all of my qualifications and hire the completely ditzy or completely party animal jock son of their CEO buddy.
Or Supreme Court judge.
Thank you. So I'm going to work myself. I'm going to work twice as hard. I will never forget. My Uncle Alfred told me when he was in college, he went to Virginia State University. My family's always been poor. My mother's family always been poor. We literally lived on a dirt road on the side of off the dirt
she
road
is
in
the color purple. She is the color purple.
I hate you so much.
You ain't got to go see the movie. She is the color purple.
He is so terrible. But my uncle was the first in my family to go to college. Went to Virginia State University. My mother would go to the thrift store and buy pants that she knew was too short, but she would let them out and send them to him.
I tell you, remember Silly's Pants Shop?
Shut up. This brother, my Uncle Alfred, had a scholarship, but the scholarship didn't include room and board. This is how they get us. This is how they get us. The scholarship didn't include room and board. So him and a couple of my cousins got together and they rented this house off campus that didn't have hot water. Wow. So for a whole semester, and it didn't have electricity for a while. So for a whole semester,
it was a crack house.
Well, pretty much.
It was a crack house. For
a whole semester, this dude studied by candlelight with no freaking heat.
It was a crack
or hot water.
Yeah.
And that's when he decided that last year in college, when he decided to join Alpha Phi Alpha, because they were going to help him get into a co-op with General Motors. And they would provide him a room and food. But I will never forget my uncle telling me, do not believe these people who tell you that you need to work twice as hard to be as good as white people. He said, no, you're better than white people, because look at what we've survived. He said, no, what you do is you work twice as smart as them. See, all they have is their connections. What they don't know is how to be smart. They can never figure out, when you're working to be twice as smart as they are, how you're surviving. You do that.
And this is not to say that all white people aren't smart.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Because
I know somebody's going to take away from that
there's going to be some fragility being expressed.
No, but I have stupid people in my family. We know.
Right,
I have Mensa members in my Yes. Okay.
I have a
Yes.
Nobel Peace Prize runner-up in
All
my
of
family.
my siblings graduated from MIT.
No, this is not to
Good
say
for
that.
you.
But
Okay.
what I'm taking away from what your uncle meant is that we can't buy into the myths. Even about white people, we can't buy into the myths. We can't automatically assume because oppression in this country, and we shared our personal stories sometimes as kids coming up. Oppression in this country is so real when it comes to black people and black children in particular. Because I remember feeling that every time I ran into a white person, that they were automatically better than me. When I would see white people, I automatically thought they had money. I automatically thought that whatever job they had, they were doing fine. And for the most part, they were during that time. But at the same time, it was like the inferiority in this country is really promoted inside you. That it really takes a lot. And I credit some of my family members. I credit some of my teachers that I came with who helped me overcome that sense of inferiority.
Yep.
That you're not looking for.
Exactly.
But the images that we were subjected to, and especially that TV that we were subjected to. And and even early religion at the time when I was a kid, and thank God black people woke up to that. But there's a lot of things in this society, especially if you're black, that basically breeds a sense of inferiority inside us.
And then the same system, conversely, the same system convinces white people, even poor white people, that they're automatically better than black people, even if they are poor, living in a ramshackle trailer on a dirt road, same dirt road that,
even off a hubcap.
The other end of the dirt road that my mama's family stayed on. But those white folks at the other end, well, they were actually on the other side of town. The other side of town, poorer than we were, but somehow they felt like they had the right to force my family off the sidewalk so they could walk down the sidewalk. So, look, this conditioning, as our friend Maurice Cook said over on Facebook, this conditioning is a beast, man, and we're still...
And it's so subtle. A lot of it's overt, but you have a lot of subtle conditioning that goes on that sometimes we don't, we're not even aware that we're being conditioned.
And you know what? Thank God for continuous political education that Kwame Ture said that we must have. Thank God that I learned about Kwame Ture.
Oh my God!
Thank God that I learned about, radical is not a bad word. That's actually what you want to be. Thank God that I learned that Martin Luther King Jr. said more than he has a dream. He woke up from that dream and realized that he may have integrated his people into a burning house. And he started talking about addressing the things in this country that set the fire.
As long as Dr. King, Dr. King didn't get assassinated because he had a dream.
Oh, thank you.
As long as Dr. King stayed with the dream, he'd be 91 today, alive,
still dreaming.
Yeah, sitting on talk shows talking about, there's I remember, and it's like, but no, he was assassinated because he was a threat, and he was assassinated because those in power saw that he was a threat, and so that's why he lost his life, because he was a threat. Mm-hmm. Had he would have stuck with the dream, we would watch him on Good Morning America today.
Well, that's our show for tonight, folks. Sorry we were not keeping up with the comments because, I had my glasses off.
I can read some now.
Yes, read some of the comments.
Okay.
I just want to point out that our friend Lisa Catlett is over here on YouTube making friends with a new friend from the UK.
Is that Chaco?
Yes. Chakanashi, just 61. I'm sorry if we pronounced you.
Yeah, but he said, she, I can't see, is it he? But you have got a new fan base here in Bristol. Well, thank you, and welcome to Coffee Curtain Events and Politics. Let me see. Is this...
Uncle Brother's on there.
Oh, Uncle Brother's
on there. Oh, the three of y'all making friends over there. Good. Yep. Well, Chalky, you are hanging out with some really cool people over on YouTube. Yep. Lisa and Uncle Brother, and let's see who else is up here. Just those three in there, just having a good old time.
Well, we encourage you to pass this along, invite other folks with you, and on our next program, and let's keep growing Luqman Nation.
That's right. That's so over in YouTube that we got a nice little hey Steph Kref. Uh, oh, choking on ashes. Okay, thank you for that correct pronunciation.
Thank
I
you.
need new glasses.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Okay. So over here on Facebook, we got our brother Maurice Cook.
Free Maurice Cook.
Eva Barnett. Heather. George. Hey, George.
Oh, that's our old friend, good friend George Bernard. He's around my dad, James.
Yep. Stasha. What's going on? Who else? Shelly. What's going on, Shelly?
Shelly. Oh.
Forrest, where you been?
Let me shout my sister out. My sister has a foundation that helps kids, mainly black kids, go to college.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Rainy Day Foundation, and please, when you have the time, look it up. She's doing great work there, and support her if you can.
Yep. Shelly, drop a link in the comments so people will know where to go. Forrest, Keith, what's going on? Keith Watkins, our brother and friend Keith getting tongue-tied. Keith Watkins, Greg Kennard.
Oh, another old friend, Keith Watkins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dale Weaver and Dolores Piers. Look, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Oh, now you show up, Bonafide, seriously? Now you show up? Bruh, where you been? And I hope you're doing better. We hope you are recovering very well from your procedure. We hope you're doing well.
We do.
Listen, the lamb roast is ready. It is smelling delicious. So I have to go feed hubby. He's before anybody says.
I mean, because I'm going to turn into Jabba the Hutt.
Before anybody says anything, like, why doesn't he feed you? This dude cooks all the time. He cooks rather frequently. Breakfast is his specialty, and on the weekends, I usually get breakfast in bed. So it's the least I can do to cook him a delicious dinner at least one day a week. He gets sandwiches every other day. I'm just kidding. That's not true. We share the duties, just like we share the responsibility for Luqman Nation.
Yes.
We appreciate all of your support, every single one of you. Thanks to you, we do have a new teleprompter to help us read better our script, follow our notes better, and not go all over the place while we're looking directly at you. So this is a more intimate experience. We thank you for allowing us to do that. If you like what you see and hear here on Luqman Nation, again, consider becoming a Patreon. It's monthly contributions of $3, $5, $7. That's all we're asking. But if you can do more, greatly appreciated. Excuse me. Or if you can't do monthly contributions, we absolutely appreciate a one-time contribution through PayPal. You can find us on both platforms, Patreon and PayPal, looking under Luqman Nation, LuqManNation. But if you flat broke, we understand that because God knows we've been there.
We'll catch you next time.
We will catch you next time. In the meantime, share this video. Invite your friends to like our page on Facebook. Subscribe to our page on YouTube. Check us out on By Any Means Necessary at Sputnik Radio. I still can't believe I'm saying that. That we are, I'm a co-host with Sean Blackman, the voice Blackman, on By Any Means Necessary on Sputnik Radio, 5 days a week from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. SputnikRadio.com.
Oh, Real News.
Oh, the Real News Network. Kind of regular segments. I'm trying so hard to tell the stories of black people and to talk about the issues that black and marginalized people.
She is really Jamaican here.
I'm Jamaican, Mom. I got 5 jobs. I got the Real News. I got the By Any Means Necessary, man. I got the husband job. I got the wife job. I got the brick by brick job. I got the brewski mom job, man. I got 5 jobs. Okay, we don't want to insult our Jamaican brothers and sisters. But y'all, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. As always, be really good to each other. And you know what we say, peace, if you're willing to fight for it. Go, beatbox, go, beatbox, go, beatbox, go, 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 go.